Welcome back to the Flaming Goblin. I'm afraid we've been a bit quiet the last few weeks. We have been gaming, running a campaign. It's just not getting around to creating podcasts. I really must schedule that in. Having chatted to a friend of mine who also does podcasts, it's very important to schedule these things in and make time and get them done. We've been running a campaign recently, which has been quite interesting. I've mentioned it in the past couple of episodes, I think. It culminated last week. The adventure started off with us coming up out of a hole in the ground. Can't remember if it was a hole in the ground under a rock or a trapdoor, something along those lines. We've been chasing Granny Nightshade, who was our sort of the villain of the piece, as it were, the one that we've been chasing throughout the campaign. We chased her to this point. She managed to escape with the assistance of a hill giant onto an airship. The hill giant then went for us, and we were rescued by our airship, flown by a Binturong. I think I pronounced that properly. Binturong. I'm sure I'll be corrected. Lovely, fluffy little creature that smelled of popcorn. Anyway, yes. We then flew across back to the Vicente Vineyard, which was mentioned. I think we mentioned that one once before as well. In search of Granny Nightshade, and kind of faked a crash landing in the coastline of the coastline around the vineyard. Made our way up the path up to the top of the cliff to be greeted by various guards, and action ensued with fireballs flying from whiskers and throwing knives flying from Fetchit, as we took the guards down and sneakily hid our way down the track towards sort of a little shelter, a little house that was down the side of the vineyard. Went down there where we bumped into the scary, terrifying Granny Nightshade, who was kind of this hag creature, very powerful magic user. But working as a team, we managed to have done with her and finish the job off. We're there to make our way up to the main building at the top of the vineyard, I guess the mansion of sorts, around a couple of towers. We found another selection of guards up there, sort of protecting the area, and finishing with Mr. Vigenti himself, who, although we thought was just sort of the owner of the vineyard, was also a very accomplished swordsman, and managed to fight us off very, very well. He did have the high ground, to quote Star Wars, fighting down off the steps. He fought us back, Fetchit again, throwing his throwing knives up the stairs at Vicente and striking him, and then chasing in after them to grab them, completely missing Mr. Vigenti and barrel rolling past him onto the floor. But thankfully, Sleeky, Whiskers and Ember came pummeling down on top of him and finished the job off nicely. I think it ended with us getting a fair amount of bits and bobs from the adventure. We've taken over the vineyard, which is now partly run by a jester, and is providing wine to the Flaming Goblin, which is our little pub back in Port Blacksand. So it's another little addition to our enterprise. But yeah, that was how that one ended. That was quite a big campaign. It was really enjoyable as well. I didn't run that one. I had the pleasure of enjoying that one though. This week I've been putting together a little one-shot using don't want to give too much away because we haven't played it yet, but using the Build a Dungeon or Create a Dungeon section from the Advanced Fighting Fantasy book, Rulebook Edition 2, second edition rather, from Arian Games, which is lovely, beautifully made, created by Graham Botley, Mark Gascoigne and Pete Tamlin. It's got everything you need to know, plus more, to run the game, and it's absolutely fantastic. But in it does have this great creation system for creating dungeons and creating more sort of open world as well. Created that, a lot of random selections and stuff going into that, but with a theme as well. So I've put a nice sort of little entertaining theme alongside that, so it's not just your standard dungeon hack. And hopefully a couple of little puzzles as well. And we'll enjoy playing that this week. Like I say, this is actually just a one-shot, a one-off, partly to trial the generation system, the random generation system for the dungeon, but also because we didn't want anything too intense. We're going to go into the Forest of Doom book, Advanced Flaming Fantasy 2nd edition, which is a adventure is based on the single player fighting fantasy book from years and years ago. They've made it into this sort of bigger open world role playing adventure, so hopefully we'll be running that. But we're looking at running that alongside Curse of Strahd, Dungeons and Dragons adventure, which my friend's converting that into, or not so much converting it into, but yeah, kind of running it using the rules from AFF Edition 2. So because we're more sort of used to using those rule system really. So we'll be doing one week, and then Curse of Strahd the next week, and then back to the Forest of Doom the following week, hopefully. Both seem to be quite intense campaigns, lots and lots going on, so hopefully we'll give you updates for that as we go through them. Anyway, that's pretty much it for me for now. I'm hoping that this week, after we've run the little one-shot, we'll have time to have a little summary afterwards, and a little review. I'll have at least one of the players with me, and we'll be able to go through how we got on with that. This will only be the second time that we've run an adventure, I think. Maybe second, maybe third time that we've run an adventure using the 2nd edition rules. So we're still really sort of getting to grips with those rules. And yeah, we'll let you know how it goes on. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back soon.